January 18th, 2017. I went to the library. I noticed this new book they had on one of the shelves. Beyond Earth, Our Path to Home in the Planets by Charles Woolforth and Amanda R. Hendricks. I'm surprised they said a few of these things. I'm going to go ahead and read them out to you and then talk about them a little bit. Oh yeah, I'll do more on the earthquake stuff, the plate tectonics, thermal expansion and contraction. There's a whole hell of a lot to it. Hopefully Baz will help me out with that. He's been doing a really good job. Thanks, Baz. Alright, introduction, The Way Off the Earth. Page 3. The technology required for a space colony is already visible. The largest barriers are institutional, an indifferent political establishment, a space agency, NASA, with a culture that squelches dissent and that lacks a coherent goal for human spaceflight. News media that have sold the public a false understanding of the real challenges of space exploration. Going to another planet will be difficult and, without breakthroughs, unacceptably dangerous. NASA squelches dissent. Guarantee you, hell yeah, it does. And it says here, page 5, Amanda works with space technology every day. She has practiced to become an astronaut and has managed to manage equipment to capture the scenery of a world on the other side of the solar system. She has also navigated the bureaucracy of big science, a universe of meetings, travel, and egos like any modern organization. Laboring over the myriad details of new ideas, she has helped to make the miracle of space exploration real. It goes over her. But more specifically, I'm going to focus on suppression of dissent in NASA. Of course, it's to the detriment of human life. Page 34. This is the chapter, The Inner Solar System and the Problem with NASA. For young people raised in the glory of NASA's early achievements, the news of the Challenger disaster hit with a punch of a profound loss of innocence. The revelations that followed made it worse, with evidence of ingrained mismanagement and suppression of dissent at NASA. 5 engineers, especially Roger Boisjoli of rocket contractor Morton Thockel, had warned superiors that the weather at the launch site was too cold and that the rubber O-rings in the boosters had not been tested at that day's temperature and would likely fail. The rings were clearly defective, having burned almost through on previous flights. In a conference call the night before the launch, NASA managers intimidated the company into withdrawing its objections. The exact problem Boisjoli warned of caused the explosion. When he later told investigators what had happened, he was ostracized at work and forced from his job. That's how NASA treats dissent. If you have a new idea, if you have a warning, they fire you and ostracize you. NASA doesn't do well with new ideas. Their culture of compartmentalization, their culture of, what's that one word called? Where you conform, their conformist culture. Everybody thinks the same, everybody thinks along the same lines, nobody sticks out. It's like in the Marine Corps, the nail that sticks out gets hammered. If you stick out, you're not going to make it in NASA. I wouldn't do very well in NASA. I stick out like a sore thumb already. And here it is. Page 36. During the break, one of the key people who had given the other side of the coin came up to me and told me, Mark, I'm so glad you said that. And my response was, why didn't you? And the answer was, because I can't. And it's really quite disconcerting that inside NASA, there's this attitude that you're not allowed to speak the truth. And if you go back and pull off your shelf the report after the Columbia mishap, the investigation report, and after the Challenger, both of those reports say that NASA needs to change its culture. And people need to know if something's not right, they need to be allowed to speak up. And you're still not allowed to speak up at NASA for fear of losing your job. And that's the culture of academia as well. Don't speak up, or else you risk being fired or forced to resign. That's what they did to Halton Arp when he started studying the redshifts of the quasars and noticing there were patterns with how they are being ejected from galaxies, which is how galaxies are born, obviously. But the culture there is of Big Bang and black holes. If you go against the Big Bang and black holes, you get fired from your job. You're not allowed to speak up and tell the truth, that those ideas are outdated and they need to be replaced immediately, or else we risk funding more projects, billions of dollars trying to prove this nonsense when we could be doing other things with our time and money. We're teaching young minds nonsense. And they go out and they spread the nonsense to their future students. It's a perpetual game. That being said, I'm glad the internet exists, because the cultures of suppressing dissent inside of academia, NASA, and other kinds of space organizations, they're very powerful. People have the golden handcuffs. You can have gold, sure, but it's going to be in the form of handcuffs, and your hands are going to be tied behind your back. There's nothing you can do about it. And that's basically how they get them. That's how they get you. So the best option for people these days is to get it highest as education they can. Go to the local library, read up on this stuff as much as possible, learn everything you can, and then communicate with each other. Because these large bureaucratic organizations of big science, they're going to prevent you from spreading the ideas, and they're going to crush your imagination and creative insights with bureaucracy. But yeah, everybody read books like this. Get different perspectives on things. Because these people, they're not exactly allowed to talk about them inside of their social circles, because they'll be like ostracized. But every now and then you get a grain of truth here and there, and you can see what's really going on. But I guess that's really the talk for today. Alright, y'all, take it easy.